everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. Today we are reviewing, a movie that came out in 1996 called Jingle All The Way. And it has Arnold Schwarzenegger, Robert Conrad, Martin Mull, let's see, who else? Sinbad.
That crappy child actor from Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, I thought he looked familiar. I didn't even look up his name. Yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah, that's right. I remember him.
It's like, based on this movie, you're like, why the hell did he get that role in Star Wars? Like, did they see his performance in this movie, or are they just that, like, I don't know, like, just bad at casting people? Because I've noticed that nowadays, too, of like, well, Safi, haven't you noticed that, where, like, all these people, they get cast no matter how bad they are. It's just like, oh, they're the popular people, so let's cast them.
Yeah.
So, like,
but there are shows that you and I have both seen.
At Wonder Woman, she gets cast even though she's a terrible actress. Tons of people like that, and it's just really strange, because it's like, don't you want to make a good movie? But they weren't thinking about that when they made the Star Wars prequels. They were thinking about selling toys or something. I don't know, which is what this movie is thinking about, I guess, a little bit. So, Safi, let's talk about Jingle All The Way, a.k.a.
Over the Top.
Barf all the way. Like, barf and vomit and cringe all the way.
Now, I saw this movie when it came out.
Really?
And I saw it
in theaters?
I guess.
I'm
not sure.
Ew.
I just know I've seen it several times. And even when I watched it for the first time, I thought it was way over the top.
Yeah.
And even in the ending, I mean, everything just works out. And, Phil Hartman, he was murdered in real life. And
what
I feel
does that
like,
have to do with anything?
I mean, he was really a despicable character in this movie.
Oh.
And he used to be on Saturday Night Live. He was really funny. And then I don't know anything about his case, but I think his wife murdered him. But I can't tell you anything else, and that isn't what it's just an ugly thing. He just was a...
We're not talking about that, though. We're talking about the movie.
But he was an ugly character.
He wasn't that ugly. I mean, all the characters were ugly. There wasn't a single likable character in this entire movie. Which character did you like? First off, you got the main guy. He's got no time for his son.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
He's, the funny thing is, like, he's spending all of Christmas Eve finding a stupid toy when he should just be spending it with his son. Like, that should be what he's doing.
Well, as a parent, and I'm thinking about 1996, and thinking, like, I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. And I don't know if it's as important now as it used to be, but...
What?
Some toy will come out, and everybody had to have it. And, of course, like I said, this was over the top, so they just carried it too far. But it was like that. It used to be like that, where something was so popular, you'd have lines, and it would be all sold out. And I did not like that. By the time Marco was born, which is a couple of years later, and I don't think there was anything that was out that ever came out. I mean, I think that was, maybe that was the last of it, or
there were
I'm just naive.
Well, there were some things that I would really want, but it wasn't like something that everyone would have. Like, there was like, I think, like, one thing in, like, first grade but it wasn't even like a toy, or they weren't like, like real toys like Turbo Man. They were like some sort of like plushy animal toys from McDonald's meals.
Oh.
A bunch of children had them on the bus. And then by the time I got them, I got like a couple, like 6 months later, none of the kids on the bus had them anymore. And,
that's the way it would be.
So that's like the only experience I have with that type of thing. And so, but
I
still.
thought it was stupid.
Well, it's stupid. And also just the fact that why isn't Arnold Schwarzenegger just spending his time with his son? Like, that's...
Well, the part of the problem is his wife probably would have gotten the toy, but she left it up to him. And he had been so neglectful that he did not listen to her and do what he was supposed to do.
The thing is, though, is that his wife sucks, too. Like, she's really unlikable. Just for some reason, like, she doesn't really have much to her at all. She spends most of the movie with the other guy, the neighbor.
Phil Hartman, who's divorced.
I didn't like her very much either. And then I didn't like Phil Hartman's character. I certainly didn't like Arnold Schwarzenegger's son, that annoying little shit character. I mean, he was a real brat. Like, the thing where he's like, "You missed my karate class! Mwah!"
That isn't what it's called.
And then Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, "But I went to your other karate thing and I saw you get that other belt." And then he's like, "But you missed another one!" Like, he's
it's
just
not a karate class.
It's a little shit.
That was a test. That was testing.
A belt. Getting a belt.
Well, that's testing. That's the test. They call it testing.
But
And my other son did that karate. And what they did was when they had that they got the green belt at this particular testing, you don't crack a board
really
for the green belt at all. And my son went through all the belts up to I think it was it a green with a brown stripe? I think that was the last, and I don't know how many more spaces it was to a black belt. But it was called testing. We went to all of them.
Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the brat complains that he didn't go to one, and then Arnold's like, "Well, I went to another one," and then he's like, "But you missed another one," and it's like, God, fuck this kid, like, and the fact that like at the beginning of the movie, he really was trying to get to that karate thing. I mean, maybe he's neglectful those other times, but he genuinely did try. I mean, he tried to take a shortcut, of course, and he got a speeding ticket, and he got a ticket in general because he went
on the what do you call it? The
is it a
shoulder. He tried. We saw this in Puerto Rico.
Oh.
Everybody, if the lanes are packed with traffic, people will go on the shoulder and pass. That's what he did. It's very dangerous.
Oh.
And it scared me half to death.
Really?
So
in the movie?
No, it didn't look like it was. He was the only one doing it.
Oh, so it didn't scare you in the movie?
No, but in Puerto Rico, it scared me.
Puerto Rico. What happens in Puerto Rico stays in Puerto Rico, right?
No, I'm sure. I know people do that here.
Like when I threw up?
In Chicago.
Well,
I've seen it other places, but not as bad as Puerto Rico.
So he put effort into trying to get to that karate test.
Yeah, he did.
And but so I don't like the kid. Did you like the kid? I mean, did you like any character? Let's just establish that, because then we can move on to other characters.
Well, I like Sinbad for just when he was funny, but he was way over the top too.
Yeah.
And he was a jerk. And
yeah, I mean, I didn't think his son deserved a toy either. Like, that thing at the end, that cliche thing. We just saw that in the new Diary of a Wimpy Kid cartoon movie, you have that cliche at the end where the main character gives his gift to someone else so that they can have it. Like, how many times are we going to see that shit? And had that again, it's like, fuck that guy for what he did. Like, his son doesn't deserve anything. Like, should have given him the gift certificate.
I don't know.
Because, like, didn't the gift certificate guarantee a free toy?
Yeah.
Well, then why? Just give him that.
I know. That's why I say this attitude where you had to have the toy in hand on Christmas Day. I did not like that.
I think that it was like a
really
part of
did.
advertising too, right? Like,
It could have been.
the imagery of having the toy on Christmas Day and opening it up on Christmas Day. Like, did they have that? Did they promote that? Because a lot of people complained about this movie and they said that this is like consumerist propaganda.
Well, they're actually kind of right, because it was consumerism to the max, and nobody should want a certain toy that much.
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't be facilitating that.
Yeah.
I mean, you should try to get it in a reasonable. If you want to give your child that toy, and I don't know, somehow something should be worked out, or maybe, I don't know. It's going to be different with every child. But I don't like this thing where, yes, you have to have that toy. It has to be, you have to get it on Christmas Day, and if it's all sold out, it's going to be a disaster and a major life event, a negative life event. I mean, come on, really?
Yeah.
It shouldn't. Giving somebody something, you want to make that person happy, but you don't want to make it to where it's like a life and death situation, because that's where a kid thinks that they can get anything they want when they want it, and they don't appreciate anything. And then you have a kid that's never been refused or denied anything, and they're not learning anything. So, I mean, they're not learning how to appreciate what they have. And, there's some kids, they don't get anything for Christmas. And it's true.
Yeah.
It's not a joke. It really does happen. I've already seen stuff, and I have this neighbor.
And you have this fucking...
Go ahead.
Well, and you have this fucking... well, we'll go through everything, but, like, you have this fucking Sinbad guy, and I didn't like his character either.
No,
because
he's a comedian.
He
did a couple of funny things.
Yeah, he was funny, but he just kept on switching back and forth. Like, is he a good or a bad guy? Like, he just kept on changing sides. And then at the end, it's like, Sinbad is going to prison, so he's not even going to be there on his son's Christmas. He's going to be in jail. And his son... he gets a fucking toy, so what? Like, his dad's gonna be in jail. So, like, I don't get that at all. Because, like, all the stuff that Sinbad did, it's pretty bad.
One thing he was doing, which has happened and it's been a real problem, is he got the mail out of his mail bag and he was throwing it at Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
So there were packages, there were letters, who knows, money.
Those are people's
bills,
packages.
And then that thing about a bomb in the mail, I didn't think that was funny.
I thought that was funny.
I don't like that.
That was one of my favorite. That was one of the only good jokes, because, like...
Well, yeah, I understand that, but I mean, that hasn't been funny when the Unabomber sent out. Isn't he dead now, or... Maybe not, but anyway,
yeah, he's dead.
The Unabomber sent out packages, and a child could have opened them. I mean, it just that really scary stuff. You have to be careful of that. When you make light of things, sometimes it isn't funny.
It was funny.
Well, I know, but sometimes it isn't funny for those
who cares.
Had a bad.
It's funny. It's a joke.
Yeah, it was a joke. So anyway, and that was Robert Conrad too, who's played a very serious. He was in the Wild Wild West, and he's played other.
Yeah, your mom was in the Wild Wild
He's
West.
played in other things where he was a serious, like, crime fighter person, and so it was interesting to see him be in a comedy
But
movie.
one of the things that I didn't like, and I guess they had no choice, but I did not like the Looney Tunes thing, where the bomb explodes,
Yeah.
and then he just has like dirt on his face and he falls over. Like, I didn't like that because I felt like
That is not real.
that was fake and cartoony, and there's so much bad in this movie. Like, does it want to be like a heartfelt family story that nobody wanted, by the way? Does it want to be a comedy? Does it want to be like a consumerist propaganda movie? Like, it does a lot of things at the same time. And does it want to be a kid's movie? Because, like, I didn't really like it as a kid. I tolerated it because there were some funny parts, but I never thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. And it's really obnoxious. Like, that's my main takeaway, is that, like, I'm glad that, like, all movies aren't this obnoxious. This movie is like the equivalent of somebody blowing an air horn in your ear.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like, you'll be quiet for a while, and then they'll blow the air horn, and then quiet for another while, and they blow the air horn.
Really?
Yeah.
Get loud, Safi.
No, let's not
Talk
say we did.
talk about the movie. Say some. Well, let's talk about. He tries to get this Turbo Man toy. Let's just call him Turd Man, because he's a trash character too.
Well, and the toy is just the plastic figure.
Yeah.
It says a few things.
Really cheap.
Yeah. That was another thing. And I've seen Marvel action figures that are like those big plastic, like, the Avengers, those Captain America and the Hulk. We actually had a Hulk toy that was like a big plastic statue like that, and they're really cheap.
Yeah.
Because they can break in 2 seconds. And you never see them anywhere, like, really for giving away. I saw some of those Marvel big plastic figures at a garage sale, but I mean, as far as, like, finding those for thrifting, they're always broken. No, I mean, you never see them.
Well, no, probably one of my favorite toys is I got a toy from Small Soldiers at Goodwill, and it cost $16, I think, and I still have it, and it's a really, really good toy. And it's a similar type of toy, but it's so much better, and it still hasn't broken. So,
well, that's good.
It's very cool. But the thing is, he tries a bunch of ways to get a toy on Christmas Eve that is sold out everywhere. And one of the ways that really pissed me off, because I felt like they just wanted to do stuff for comedy and the writing wasn't up to par, was him and Sinbad are at this mall, and you're supposed to catch a certain ball. Did it have a number on it or a color?
Number.
It had a number. And so Arnold actually caught the right ball, but then it got away from him because of Sinbad. And then the ball got away from him, and Arnold's chasing it around, and he chases the ball around the mall.
It's bouncing everywhere because it's like a ping pong.
I guess that was kind of funny in like a dopey, cartoony way. And but something really stupid happens where it lands in this little. I couldn't tell if it was a girl or a boy.
It was a girl. Landed in her stroller.
It looked like some weird creature, and
She had a bowl haircut.
It landed it landed in her lap. And Arnold is chasing after her, and he chases her personally inside of this playground, playpen thing.
With
and
the balls, plastic balls in the tunnels.
Then she puts the ball in her mouth, and he tries getting it out of her mouth. And I was thinking this whole time, number one, why couldn't Arnold just go to this girl's mom and explain to her what happened and get the ball back? And if she wanted some money for it, he could have given her $300 for it, so that he could get the Turbo Man toy. But instead of that, he is just harassing this little girl. It's stupid. It is funny, but it's stupid because you think he can go right up to her mom and explain what happened. He doesn't have to be fucking around in this playpen.
And all these mothers started beating him up with their purses and their umbrellas, and which is actually probably a pretty truthful response. That would probably happen.
Because they thought he was a child molester, even though he never gets caught for that. Like, they never go to, like, the people at the mall and tell them that he's molesting someone or something. Like, so that really isn't followed through on. And then another thing, the second thing that I was going to say, was that she put that ball in her mouth, and I was thinking, like, she could swallow that.
I know.
Like,
I thought of that, too.
That's not a joke. So I thought, like, he should have told the mom about the ball. Like, this whole thing about them shooing him away, and, like, they never even tell security or anything. Like, he needed to go up to that mom with security and explain the situation and get the fucking ball. Like, it would have been that simple. So I was like, that was idiotic. Yeah. What'd you think of that, Safi?
No, I didn't like it at all. I thought it was dumb. And then the little girl puts the ball in her mouth.
That was gross.
Ew, it was. So, just that whole thing was a failure.
Yeah, most of this movie is a failure, though, because, like, they go from one annoying sequence to the next, and you're just you know that he's not going to get the toy, because if he gets the toy, the movie's over. So there's no suspense. There's no sort of there's not even like a possibility. Like, there are other movies where, like, the whole movie, somebody is searching for one specific thing, and they have a lot of possibilities of getting that thing. But in this movie, it doesn't even feel like a possibility ever. Because if they go in a situation like that, they do some unrealistic thing or some stupid thing, and so you know, oh, he's not going to get the toy. Safi?
Yeah, I know. Well, Marco does his review. He plays a game.
Okay, Safi, that's not a fucking excuse. You're not even supposed to be looking at that.
Anyway, like I said, the ball thing was gross. I didn't like it at all. And it's true what Marco says, and I didn't even think about it either, was that if he did get the toy, then everything would stop.
Yeah.
And so it's just like one thing after another, so you can stretch it all out.
Yeah.
Into this movie. And then they have to go to a radio station that's playing. This guy says, well, if you know all the names of the reindeer, and they said 8, and I think you had to add Rudolph. But I'm not sure, but they didn't even go to that. That didn't even come out. It degraded into you have Sinbad and you have Arnold, and they call and they rip I think they ripped the phone cord out of the wall because there's no cell phone.
And there's no consequences for that either. Like the head of the diner, he doesn't even care.
And he just says, that radio station's like 2 blocks away. And so they run down there and...
Well, we didn't even mention, too, in the diner, Like, they had that whole thing where Sinbad said that as a kid, his dad didn't get him this machine gun toy, and so therefore that's why he's such a loser in life. And then Arnold sees his annoying, bratty son inside Sinbad's costume, and so, like, therefore he believes that his son will turn out to be a loser unless he gets Turbo Man's toy.
But that's why I have an issue over. That's ridiculous. And that's why he didn't even bring it up, because I thought it was so ridiculous and stupid, it made me sick. I mean, I just ignored it. And it's true, it happened, and that's what they said. But I did not like that part at all. I just ignored it.
I thought that was terrible, though, because, like, they're basically saying that all the poor kids who don't get presents at Christmas
are losers.
They're poor because they don't get presents at Christmas.
Or they don't get the present they want.
Yeah.
That was the thing. He didn't get the present that he wanted. And so what? I mean, I know it's really hard, but I mean, I just think that somehow before Christmas, or there has to be some kind of thing that you come to with your child that they may not get what they exactly want. Maybe you should, have, prepare them to have like 2 things or 3 things. So if you can't get 2 of them, you can get that 3rd one or whatever. Have alternatives. But this thing where it's a do or die situation, I don't like that. And that thing in the diner, I thought that was so childish. And then I think that's where Sinbad's running down the street, throwing the mail at him, trying to stop him. And when I was a kid, and this happens too, it happens it comes up every few years or something. The mailman has mail with him. Maybe it doesn't happen with him, and they put it somewhere. They throw it away or whatever. And I was at school, and we went outside, and it was like a little private school, and we went out in the back, and in these like bushes in this like clearing was a mail bag full of mail all over the ground, and the mailman had stashed a bag of mail there for some reason. It was really, maybe it was stolen, I don't know. I never heard what happened, but we told the teacher, because we didn't really know what that meant. We thought, that's weird, look, this mail bag with all this mail all over the place. And I remember even one year, before my 2 boys were born, we were living in, Columbia or Champaign, Urbana, and I mailed some bills out. I put them in the mailbox, and a whole bunch of people they didn't have their stuff delivered. I started getting these notices that the bills weren't paid, and I had paid them. I wrote down, and that the mailman had stolen all the mail and stashed it somewhere, not just our stuff. And that's what I said, this happens. And so here's this guy,
he's still
throwing the mail out of his mail bag and throwing it at him, and or just throwing it on the ground because he's trying to lessen the weight of the bag, so he can, so he can catch up to Arnold Schwarzenegger. So they can attack this guy at the radio station who's Martin Mull, and all it was a gift certificate. And it wasn't even the figure.
But I thought that actually is a nice thing, like...
Well, at least it's something.
Because you will get the toy, the full toy, so, like, who cares? Like, that's a great victory. Oh, no, that's not good enough. And the thing is, it's like, if they were playing it in a fun way, like, they're treating it like it's just, like, they're not taking it seriously, and it's not really that, like, if he doesn't get the toy, he's going to turn out to be a loser.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
They were treating it like they were being serious, and they were, like, seriously suggesting that if he doesn't get that toy, uh-oh. And so that's what I didn't like about it. Safi,
yeah, that's why. Oh,
pay attention to the review.
I told you I didn't like it either, and I just don't agree with it.
Yeah, you're supposed
And
to
so
bounce off and say other things.
I hardly can. Well, I'd seen the movie before, so I knew they had this big parade coming up. And what's so funny, after all that, they couldn't get the gift certificate, or he did get the gift certificate.
Yeah, he still has it. So, like,
that's right.
Some kid isn't going to get a Turbo Man because he has the gift certificate. And also, he could get his son the Turbo Man eventually with the gift certificate.
So he goes out to get his car. Guess what? The car has been,
stripped.
Yeah, it's been stripped.
So what did you think about when he tried to steal the toy from the fat kid from the neighbor? What'd you think of that?
Queer.
Yeah, that was really
queer
bad.
Thing. I didn't like it, and.
But I was like, you know what? The neighbor is trying to
steal his wife.
Steal his wife. So why not steal the toy? Because
that doesn't have anything to do with the kid.
Well,
the kid is not stealing his wife.
So what? Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights wouldn't give a fuck.
Well,
because
whatever.
Heathcliff would say, "Fuck that kid! I'm stealing the toy," because actually he wouldn't.
During that time, he still has the gift certificate.
Yeah, but
it's never. You know what? It's never brought up again either.
Yeah, he
has the gift certificate.
It's like the gift certificate is apparently meaningless to these people because they're fucking retarded, and so he tried to steal the toy, and then he realizes it's wrong, and they do the cliche where everyone sees that he did it because they're all this cartoony stuff with a reindeer, and so then there's like a sad period in the movie where it's like the wife is really upset with him and the kids are mad at him, and it's like, oh, wah, wah, wah.
I know, it's just ridiculous. And then the wife goes to the parade with the neighbor, and the two boys are in the back, and they leave the husband at home. And is he giving the reindeer alcohol?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, just sob story. So he ends up going to the parade anyway.
I think my favorite part, and I will say, yesterday, I didn't even watch the whole movie because I've seen it so much to where I already know everything that happens, and I couldn't stand it. But I think my favorite part of the movie is when the neighbor is trying to assault Arnold's wife, and then she gets him.
She throws hot chocolate all over his face.
I thought that was kind of cool. That was kind of funny and cool. But, like, there's nothing else.
Well, he thinks that he's expecting something from her because she's being nice to him. And that's just asinine. And she still, even though her husband is kind of being a dipshit and neglectful, she still loves him. So, he starts putting the neighbor starts putting the moves on her in the car at the parade, and she's like, what the hell? And he made her hot chocolate in a to-go cup, or made one for each. I don't know, but anyway, she threw it all over him.
That was cool. I like that part.
So anyway, I'm not even gonna. I don't know whether to bring up that part about
that whole thing at the end is awful too. Like, I was like, this is another thing that I hate about like kids movies, or I guess family movies, is that like at the end you have to have this huge gigantic spectacle because like everything has to get bigger and bigger and bigger as the movie goes on. So like in this movie's case, it gets so big that it's just like a complete cartoon, and it's just so obnoxious that it's like
and unrealistic,
stabbing your ears with pencils or candy canes. So I hated the whole ending thing. Even as a kid, I would never like watching the ending stuff with the parade and the him playing Turbo Man and Sinbad as the brain guy,
He's
and
the villain.
I
Well,
hate
actually,
it.
I like the parade. I like the fact they had all these figures, people dressed up as all these.
See?
What would you call it? Vintage stuffed animals. You know, they had Madeline or Madeline.
See, guys, even Safi falls victim to consumerism.
And Snoopy and what else? Gumby, and I like that part of it. It was cool.
I don't.
But the thing about Turbo Man was like the star of the parade, which it's usually at Christmas. It's Santa.
Yeah.
You know, and so what happened was, I don't know, how did he come? He came upon these people, and they said, "Oh, good, you're here." They thought he was going to play Turbo Man.
Turbo Man.
Turbo Man. The real one had an accident.
Turtle Man.
And they said something like, I don't know, he was in bad shape, like he was barely there or something. He got seriously injured when he was, because they had this whole routine set up for him, and he was wearing a suit, and he put the suit on, they put it on him, and it had all this mechanical, really fancy mechanical devices where you could
You
go,
can fly.
You could fly and
Bullshit.
shoot. I don't know what they were. These things out of your hand and at people, and so apparently the other guy, I guess maybe when he had flown, he had crashed and injured himself very badly, but somehow Arnold was able to, he did crash too, but he was able to get back up again.
And it's just so predictable what happens. Yeah, he flies perfectly as if he's done it a million times, and he saves a kid and everything, and he defeats Sinbad, and it's just so queer. It makes me want to throw up. And then probably the worst part of the movie, well, the worst part of the whole movie is the kid, the main kid. He's just the worst. But the worst part is his line at the end, where he says, "Why do I want a Turbo Man? I got a real one at home." And I was just like, ugh.
So he gives...
Like, that's so fucking gay.
See, the thing was, Turbo Man is supposed to give somebody in the parade, like watchers, supposed to give one of them this. They have a Turbo Man all ready to give away. And so, of course, he sees his son there, and he picks him to give him the Turbo Man. And so the little boy has a backpack, he puts it in there, and of course Sinbad has a big thing with him. Remember, he's dressed up as the bad guy. He stole the costume, and he's dressed up as the bad guy. So there's this big thing, and he goes after the kid when Arnold is they have this thing where all these bad people are going after Arnold. They're bad things, like these characters that would be in the cartoon. It's kind of like Power Rangers. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, it was like Power Rangers.
And it was like Power Ranger bad characters, and they were short. Like, I don't know if they were kids or they were smaller people.
But Power Rangers is cooler.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, of
A
course.
lot cooler.
Well, maybe they couldn't use it for the...
Well, but they could have come up with something cooler than Turbo Man.
Well, anyway, so Sinbad's going after this kid, and, you know, his father has to rescue him, and then Sinbad gets arrested, and that's when the kid says, you know, I wish my dad could have seen all this, me flying with Turbo Man and all this stuff. And he said, well, he did, and he reveals himself to his son.
Very gay.
And that's where this thing happens where, you know, Sinbad's arrested, and they're taking him away, and he said, wait, and he gives him the Turbo Man and says, you know, I don't need this because I already have a real one at home, or something
It's
like
so
that.
gay.
And it's just like,
What'd you think of that? Did you think that was gay?
It was very cliche.
Yeah. That's like the ultimate, like, ugh, cringe. And just the fact that you got that shitty actor from Star Wars saying it too, it makes it even worse. And honestly, I guess he was better in Star Wars than this, but that's not saying much.
Yeah. Well, it was probably better material.
No.
Dumb.
I don't know.
It's just
The Phantom Menace was better material?
Yeah, this movie was it's just like,
I don't know.
It was just too much. It was over the top. And there were a couple of funny things with Sinbad, which but the thing with, oh God, the thing with the turbo guy at the end, it was just so unrealistic, him being able to fly like that, and not the flying part, because I know that they have that, but it's the fact that he did it so well, and he's never done it before, and I mean, he went all over the place, and it was so, over the top and outrageous, and over a toy. It's all about this toy. And I guess
you're a toy.
I guess if people bitch about consumerism and they look at it in the worst way, that would probably be the worst way to look at it, would be this movie. And I know it's an exaggeration, but really, I don't think nowadays there's anything like that. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think there's some toy that people just have to have, and they just go crazy. You see people at these, we saw, or they had a thing on TV on the news like Black Friday, and they showed for an outlet mall. Now, an outlet mall means people are after all kinds of stuff. They're just not after a certain toy, and they're after deals and really good clothing usually, and it could be like maybe electronics, video games, who knows. And there were like a 2-mile line of cars on the highway. They showed it on the news to go to this outside of this outlet mall, and they used to have. I don't know if they're still doing it. Maybe they do. I don't watch the news much anymore. I do watch certain news, but not this regular, evening news. I don't watch that anymore, but or noon either. And they used to have people waiting in line all night, and they'd bring a tent, and it'd be freezing, and they'd have coffee. And
so overall, what would you think of the movie? What
I didn't like it.
Did you say this is one of the best Christmas movies ever? Because I think
I could avoid watching it and not be upset about it.
It's a terrible Christmas movie.
No, I don't care for it.
Because it's like, this isn't really about Christmas. It's about big companies getting people to buy their shitty, cheap toys from China.
Buying stuff. And it's just, especially, since I'm a seller and who knows how much longer that's going to last, but I buy thrifted goods. Those are people, you wouldn't believe what people throw away and give away to Goodwill. And we go to the bins and find, which is the Goodwill outlet bins. You wouldn't believe the stuff we find in there. I just, everything, and I know I've mentioned this before, but people just, they may want something like that really badly, but either it's not going to last because it's so cheaply made, or they just throw it away.
Yeah, like you got rid of those toys. Remember, you said that you had these really cool vintage toys, and you gave them away or something, and you wish you didn't.
When I was a kid, when I got older, I had the original Barbie. I had a case, I had clothes, Now, I didn't have a lot of clothes because they didn't used to make tons of clothes. They just had specific clothes. Now they have actual designers who design clothes for Barbie. Designers that, like, I'm not gonna say a specific one, but they're like, I'll just give an example of like what it could be, like Chanel or Dior or whatever. Just think of any designer, and some of them have made clothes for Barbie, and it didn't used to be that way. And so anyway, I had a few outfits, and I think I had Midge, I had Ken, and I had Skipper, and that was all there was actually back then, and I just gave it all away to some little girls.
See,
and
some little girls doesn't even know their names.
But they got to no, don't remember their names. But anyway, I didn't think much about it. I mean, today now, if you kept all that stuff in good shape, you could sell them, I mean, probably for a lot, because they were the original, my Barbie had a bubble cut, and, they have the bathing suit and all that. It's just, anyway, but people just they just throw stuff away. You wouldn't believe it, the stuff that they just put in the trash. They just get sick of it. They get sick of looking at it. They don't bother to tell anybody about it. And I've seen everything, and not just from me, from other sellers who, like I said, the dumpster divers, etc., that find all this stuff. It's unbelievable. So anyway, that's why it kind of irritates me to see a movie like this, because they're going crazy over a stupid toy.
So are you.
And they probably, next year, the kid probably won't give a crap about it.
Yeah, and the next year the kid will be like, "You still don't go to my karate tests. But you did get me a Turbo Man, but then you didn't. And now I want this."
Yeah, so, I mean, it's just, nothing is ever, that's why I mean, there has to be some kind of lesson or meaningful thing that where a kid isn't going to just take it for granted, and that they're going to get the latest, greatest toy.
I think the meaningful thing from this movie is don't hire Arnold Schwarzenegger to do this movie, because, like, this is another thing where, like, they started hiring people like Arnold to do these things when he's not an actor. And so why are they putting him in this, like, role where, and the thing, too, that I hate is that, like, how stereotypical he looks, because he has, like, the stereotypical haircut and the overcoat that he wears the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everyone in this movie is like a stereotype, and I just can't stand, like, how just I hated it. Like, but the lesson from this movie is don't hire Arnold and don't hire that kid for Star Wars. And
that kid's probably an adult now.
They didn't take either of the lessons, and so
1996.
Look what happened. That's what you get. You get the Phantom Menace, and you get more bad Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
Which, the Terminator movies were, at least the first one.
But he's still not a good actor. He's a terrible actor.
Yeah.
Like, make room for real actors so that real actors can get the work. And then, if you need, like, a guy to play, like, a superhero or something, then maybe get Arnold. Because, nowadays it's funny because people see all these actors and they get cast in these superhero roles. And then what happens is those actors, they do work out a lot and diet, but they just take steroids. And, like, instead of doing that, they should just hire, like, bodybuilders.
Well, they did for the Marvel, that fantastic, what was it? That movie with, that guy in the,
That guy.
What is that movie called? God.
That guy.
I can't, the one who gets hired for everything. He got hired for Jurassic Park.
Chris Pratt?
Chris Pratt, that group.
Well, yeah, he transformed. He's
the guy
different.
That's in there with him. That one who's not doing it anymore. Or
That guy's a wrestler.
Oh, he's a wrestler. I thought he was bodybuilding.
He was a WWE. He can't act either. He's terrible. Mm-hmm. And yeah. But that was good to get him. But
yeah, but that was fine. The movie was fine.
He's terrible.
I love the second one especially.
But anyways, this movie's trash. It's really not that good. There are some good things in it, but I'm not a fan of it at all anymore.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's just too over the top. And if I didn't, there's some movies that maybe you like to watch every Christmas as a tradition. It's kind of the way that Halloween used to be before I watched them all. And I said, I don't want to ever watch another one again, not for a long time.
Well, guess what you'll be watching tomorrow, Safi?
What?
Jingle All The Way Part 2 with Larry the Cable Guy as the star.
I've never seen that. So.
Well, that's going to be even worse, Safi. You can guarantee.
Well,
Larry the Cable Guy? Ew. I mean, that guy... If I had a button to erase someone from the human existence, I'm pretty sure that Larry the Cable Guy would be in my top 5 choices.
I don't know. I don't know anything about him.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's just obnoxious, and he's another, stereotype. He's annoying, he's gross looking, and just, ew.
Well, it probably wouldn't have been too far off in 1996 then, right?
No, it's like a modern movie. I would rather watch, here's how much I hate Larry the Cable Guy. I would rather watch a feminazi movie than watch Larry the Cable Guy do anything.
Okay.
Anything.
Okay, well, anyway, let's give our food review.
What's your food review, Safi?
I give this, because it's so over the top, I give a caramel popcorn with M&Ms and marshmallows. And that would be so much over the top.
That sounds good.
And sweet. Oh, God. Blech. I couldn't eat it. There's no way I could even eat that. I'd be so sick.
Don't be such a baby.
It's just too much. And that's because this movie was too much. It was over the top all the time. How about you?
Well, I was just thinking of, what food is obnoxious? Because, the movie's obnoxious. So, what food would fit with the obnoxiousness of the movie? And I thought, I already told Safi, but sauerkraut. Sauerkraut can be very, very good if you have it with German food, with something. That's the key, though, if you have it with something. But if you just have sauerkraut all by itself, there are some weirdo health people, health nuts. They like to eat sauerkraut all on its own. I just think that is the grossest thing I've ever heard. And it makes me want to throw up just thinking about it. And I feel like that is the most obnoxious food I can think of. And it's only good if you temper it down by eating it with something else. Safi?
Okay, well, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers so we can hear your feedback and you can tell us what you're watching. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.